Welcome to Stock Music Musician, where you'll learn how to sell music online. And now your host, Evan Oxhorn.
What up, team? Today we're going to learn how to create sort of a lo-fi reverb of the type that I would associate with someone like Tycho, for example, where you've got sort of this clear, shimmering upfront sound and then this washed out distant soundscape behind it. So I'm going to play you a quick version of how it sounds with the effect on. Then I'm going to show you what it sounds like with the effect off. Then we're going to deconstruct the effect and I'll show you how I did it. So here we go. And now I'm going to bypass the effect so you can hear what it's doing. Oops, the effect. So it's a pretty simple guitar part, but the effect really makes it pop. So the first thing to know is that you have to use this as a send effect and not as an insert. If you use it as an insert, the underlying guitar is going to lose all of its clarity and you're just going to have nothing but mush. I'll sort of show you what that would sound like by making this a pre-fader sound and now turning down the fader. And this is what it sounds like just all wet. Or not all wet actually, because all of the effects are no more than 50% wet. As you can see, this reverb, this is about 75%. This reverb is 50%, and the Neutron is about 25%. So it's really important to use this as a send effect and to mix in your main level. And if you're going to do this in practice, you'd probably turn down the return. Maybe right around there. That sounds really good. I just have it exaggerated for the effect of the tutorial. And listen to how that just fades out. So now I'll show you how to do it. So I've put everything in this combinator here. The first step is an equalizer where I've just sort of cut out most of the lows and the highs. This is just a general good practice to do with reverbs most of the time. It keeps them from getting muddy. So from there, we send it into the RV 7000 reverb. Any reverb will really do. The main thing is I'm just sort of trying to get a short reverb sound here. And actually what I'll do is bypass everything below in the chain so we can hear them come on one by one. So first, we just have, let's restart it, just sort of a basic plate reverb. I've used a bit of a convolution reverb now. And you've got a kind of a long decay. You want it just to sort of breathe. Then add another much longer, fuller reverb below it. So we're reverbing the reverb. And it creates sort of the shimmer to it. And I think this is sort of the way the pre-delays are working together, the different lengths and sizes. And then from there, you add a Neutron. This thing is hard to work with and hard to get to sound right, but when you do, it sounds really good. So let's turn that on. And it's sort of creating these shimmery textures to it. We're using pretty long life for each particle, and I'm pitching them up an octave. Those are really the important things that I'm doing here. A pretty big spread. Now, it's also important to note that the Neutron is coming after the reverbs. Let's see what it sounds like before. In my mind, it doesn't sound quite as washed out because what it's doing is here it's moving the spacing of the guitar playing as opposed to moving the spacing of the reverb. And what this effect is really trying to do is highlight the reverb. And let's just try it with the pitch down. it's just finishing up. It's going to cycle back again in a minute, but we'll speed that up. I'll go back to the beginning. And maybe you prefer it with the pitch down. I definitely see the appeal of that, or even an octave down from there. That's just a little too low. Now, if you turn up the gain all the way, you'll see you just lose way too much focus for me, but around 25% I liked. Then from here, I used a resampler, but you could also totally just use a, the Scream or any type of lo-fi distortion. And this just sort of crunches it up a bit. If I turn it, you hear how it sort of has that lo-fi grainy sound, and just basically where it stops being noticeable is the level that I want it at. It's still there doing something if you listen closely, but it doesn't overwhelm. And then I added an Audiomatic tape. It's boosting the gain a lot, but really I'm using it more for color and compression. But let's turn down the level just so that you can actually hear. And then finally a stereo imager, just to sort of spread it out. And then what I probably would want to do is just let it play out. Obviously, you could put some EQ or some compression on that, especially on the main track. I haven't done anything to that. That's just a direct recording of a guitar through my Avid 11 rack. So there's no EQ compression or anything on that. But hopefully that was a really helpful intro on how to make a washed out sort of lo-fi reverb. Hope that helped. If you enjoy these tutorials, please leave a comment about what you'd like to see more of. Don't forget to subscribe, and also visit the webpage www.stockmusicmusician for some exclusive information, and hope you have a great